In May 1453, when the walls of Constantinople crumbled under the thunder of Ottoman cannons, the world as we knew it shifted forever. The Byzantine Empire, the last glimmering bastion of Rome, was extinguished. Its streets, once filled with hymns and incense, now echoed with fire, steel, and the cries of the fallen. At the heart of this storm stood a man barely 21 years old, Sultan Mehmed II, soon to be known as the Conqueror. His eyes, sharp and unreadable, gazed upon the smoldering city not with pity, but with possession. To him, this wasn't just conquest, it was destiny fulfilled. Amid the chaos, as soldiers scoured the city for spoils, a single name began to circulate among the Ottoman ranks: Princess Theodora, niece of the last Byzantine emperor, famous for her beauty, her learning, and the calm defiance she carried even as her empire withered. She was the last symbol of a dying world. Born into an empire already in decay, Theodora was raised behind marble walls that reeked of both faith and despair. Her tutors were monks who whispered that Constantinople was the last light of the world, and she was its fragile flame. From the palace terraces, she watched the horizon darken with thousands of Ottoman tents. Night after night, the rhythm of war drums and the chants of soldiers filled the air. She knew the end was near. When the walls finally broke on May 29th, the 1,000-year-old empire ceased to exist. Emperor Constantine V died sword in hand on the ramparts. The great church of Hagia Sophia, the pride of the Christian faith, was stormed and turned into a mosque by Mehmed's command. In the aftermath, Theodora was seized by a detachment of janissaries. She was brought before the Conqueror himself, seated on a throne hastily erected in the ruins of the emperor's palace. He regarded her silently. Historians wrote that she neither bowed nor wept. Though her hands trembled, her bearing was regal. When Mehmed asked her name, she answered without fear, "I am Theodora Palaiologina, niece to the emperor you have slain." Those words could have cost her life. Instead, they seemed to fascinate him. The chronicler Kritovulos, who later served Mehmed, wrote that the Sultan ordered her to be treated with honor. "She shall not be touched," he said, "for she carries the blood of kings." But behind those words, something deeper stirred. For Mehmed, victory wasn't complete with walls or crowns. It had to be written into flesh and lineage. By taking Theodora, the last princess of Byzantium, he could symbolically unite the shattered worlds of East and West under his name. In the following days, Theodora was housed within the old palace, guarded but not imprisoned. Mehmed visited her often, under the pretext of diplomacy. Yet each visit lingered longer, his curiosity deepening into something more dangerous. He spoke to her of empire, of how he would restore the glory of Rome under his own banner. Theodora, educated and eloquent, did not flatter him. Instead, she questioned his ambitions, asking if conquest alone could ever fill the hunger of a soul. Her defiance, even in defeat, seemed to unsettle him. A strange bond formed, blurring the lines between conqueror and captive. Some Ottoman records suggest Mehmed offered her marriage, a symbolic union to legitimize his rule as the heir to Rome. Others claim she refused, saying she would rather die than be used as a token for empire. When word of her defiance spread, Mehmed's advisors urged him to punish her, but the Sultan did not order her death. Instead, he sent her away to a secluded villa, under the watch of trusted attendants. What happened there remains shrouded in legend. Greek sources claim Theodora took the veil, becoming a nun. Ottoman chroniclers, however, whisper that Mehmed continued to visit her in secret, unable to banish her from his thoughts. To understand this, you must understand Mehmed himself. He was not just a conqueror, he was a scholar, a linguist, a dreamer. He spoke Greek, Latin, and Persian. He read Homer. He called himself Caesar of Rome after taking the city. And Theodora, the last flower of Byzantium, embodied the civilization he sought to absorb. To possess her was to claim more than beauty. It was to claim legitimacy. But Theodora never accepted her role. When Mehmed sent her gifts, silks, jewels, poetry, she returned them unopened. There are accounts that years later, She tried to escape across the Aegean with the help of Venetian merchants. The ship was intercepted. Mehmed, furious and heartbroken, confronted her himself. "You could have ruled beside me," he said. "The world could have remembered your name with mine." Theodora is said to have replied, "Better to be forgotten in truth than remembered in shame." After that, she vanished from all records. Some say she was sent to a convent, others that she was quietly executed. Mehmed never spoke of her again, but those close to him noted a change, a coldness that deepened with age. When Mehmed rebuilt Constantinople, he spared certain relics of Byzantium, libraries, churches, mosaics, as if haunted by the memory of what he had destroyed. To the outside world it appeared as magnanimity. To those who knew him, it was penance. The fall of Constantinople became a symbol of something deeply human, the collision of desire and destiny. Theodora's defiance was the last act of the Byzantine spirit, unbroken even when the empire itself was ground to dust. For Mehmed, her memory lingered like a ghost over his victories. He conquered nation after nation, yet none of it brought him peace. When Mehmed died in 1481, his final words, according to one chronicler, were whispered in Greek. Words no one understood. History remembers Mehmed as the Conqueror. But behind that title lies the tale of a young woman who refused to surrender her spirit, and a conqueror whose greatest victory became his quietest torment. Centuries later, in the ruins beneath modern Istanbul, archaeologists discovered a fragment of a Greek inscription carved into marble. It reads, "I was taken from the house of my fathers, but I kept my faith as my crown." No one can say for certain whose hand carved those words, but many believe it was Theodora, the princess who watched her world die, yet remained unconquered herself. The story endures because it mirrors the fate of civilizations. Theodora represented the end of an age, Mehmed, the dawn of another, and between them lay the silence of the fallen city. Even now, when the call to prayer drifts from the minarets of Hagia Sophia, some say you can still hear the faint echo of ancient hymns beneath it, the voice of a lost empire, and the memory of the princess who refused to kneel. He conquered her world, but she conquered his soul. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, please like this video and subscribe for more hidden histories. See you next time.